The screen opens to flames licking the night sky, devouring the remains of a crumbling apartment block. Smoke swirls like ghosts, blotting out the stars. Screams ripple through the chaos, some human, others swallowed by the inferno. A lone figure emerges from the shadows. Rags cling to his frail body. His feet are bare. His right hand, raw, blistered and shaking, clutches something tightly to his chest. A baby's cry pierces the night, sharp and alive. Crowds gather at a distance, kept back by fear and disbelief. No one steps forward. No one asks who he is. His face is caked in ash, eyes wide, bloodshot, not with pain, but with a kind of trembling clarity. He kneels, slowly, reverently. The child, wrapped in a smoke-blackened shawl, shivers in his arms, tiny fingers curling against his scorched skin. Red and blue lights strobe the smoke. Sirens wail, growing louder. A paramedic rushes forward. The beggar does not speak. He only holds out the child, his lips quivering, as if forming a word he hasn't spoken in years. His eyes meet the medic's for a fleeting second. Not a thank you, not a question, just a silent exchange between a man who saved a life and chose to vanish. The baby is taken, the medic runs, the chaos resumes. But the man, he turns, melted palm pressed to his chest where the baby had been, and melts into the crowd, just another nameless shadow, already forgotten. Night hums inside the hospital like a low prayer. Fluorescent lights flickering, machines breathing in mechanical rhythm, distant voices hushed by fatigue. Amina moves through it all like water in a stone basin. Her gait is soft, soundless, her uniform pristine. She doesn't speak unless necessary. She listens, she watches. Her eyes, deep, gentle, unknowable, are the kind that make even the angriest patients fall quiet. In the break room, lockers line the wall like graves. Most are decorated, photos, keychains, notes from children. But hers, bare. No family photos, no silly magnets, just a folded prayer mat and a sealed bottle of water. She eats alone, always. No one calls her on her breaks. She doesn't scroll, doesn't text. She just sits, breathing slowly, gaze drifting but never resting. Amina works the night shift, has for years. Some say she prefers it. Others say she has nowhere else to be. The staff admire her. Patients thank her. But no one knows where she goes when the sun rises. Tonight the ER is louder than usual. Fire victims arriving one after the other. Sirens echo in the bay. Ash trails in on boots. The air smells of burning rubber and fear. Room 4, a nurse tells her. Infant, pulled from the fire. Smoke inhalation. Amina nods, gloves on, mask up. She steps into the room. There, under the harsh overhead light, lies a baby, barely a year old. Soot on his cheeks, eyes swollen from tears and smoke. His breath rattles, shallow and fast. Amina's hands are gentle as wind. She checks vitals, clears airways, humidifies oxygen. The baby cries once, high, frightened, and then stops. His tiny fist clenches around something. Amina leans in, peels his fingers back. It's a broken necklace. The chain is thin, cheap. The charm? A small brass crescent moon, scratched and nearly blackened by soot. She studies it. Her eyes flicker, just briefly, toward memory. But whatever passed through her disappears. She tucks the necklace into the baby's blanket and whispers, so low the monitor barely picks it up. You're safe now. Then she steps back, turns off the overhead light, and watches over him in silence. The next evening, Amina reviews the baby's chart under the cold glow of the nurse's station. She scans vitals, oxygen levels, dosages, until her eyes land on a short line in the incident report. Unknown man pulled baby from bus wreckage. Severe burns to right hand. Left seen before ID. A ripple moves through her. Slow and cold. She reads it again and again. Burns to right hand. Her gaze drifts to the baby's blanket, where the tiny brass crescent moon glints beneath the fold. She shouldn't remember. She shouldn't feel this. But she does. Her breath shortens, her fingers tremble, and suddenly she's no longer in the hospital. 10 years ago, a different corridor, a different uniform. Amina, then a fresh intern with wide eyes and an anxious heart, stood beside the only man in the building who ever made her feel safe. Dr. Sulaiman, brilliant, quiet, unshakably kind. He walked the halls like they belonged to someone else, someone gentler than the city ever knew. But that day, the calm broke. Voices clashed outside the administrator's office. He didn't falsify anything. That's not for you to decide, Nurse Amina. Amina watched from the corner, her clipboard clutched to her chest. Sulaiman stood firm, jaw clenched, eyes filled with the heat of injustice, but no fear. They said he signed off on a surgery that never happened, that a politician's nephew died because of him, that records were missing, that he'd taken the fall, but she knew him. She knew his hands, his heart. He taught her to listen to breath sounds like reading poetry. He once stayed through the night for a child no one believed would make it. And then, just like that, he vanished. No resignation, no goodbye, no trace. She waited, a week, a month, a year, nothing. Now, standing under flickering lights, she hears the monitor beep softly behind her. The baby stirs in his sleep, and she whispers, barely audible, "Is it you?" Her hand drifts to her chest, over the place where her old ID badge once hung, right below the spot he used to rest his hand when reminding her she was stronger than she knew. But this time, there's no one to say it. The hospital TV hums in the background of the break room. Another fire, another headline. But this time, it's not the smoke or the blaze that catches Amina's eye. It's the footage, grainy, shaky, shot from across the street by a trembling phone hand. A man, barefoot, wrapped in torn layers, limps out of the wreckage, cradling a small bundle. His face is obscured by ash and angle, but something in his posture, the weight of the shoulders, the care in his steps, makes her freeze mid-sip. She turns up the volume. A reporter calls him the Phantom Rescuer. No name, no background, just a fleeting moment of anonymous grace. The footage loops, and there, barely a frame, he reaches out to brace against a lamppost, his hand raw, burnt, and beneath the blackened skin a jagged scar, slicing across his palm like lightning frozen in flesh. She stares at it. The room goes still. She remembers that scar. A night, a bloodied glove, him pacing outside the call room after a botched emergency procedure, gripping his hand to stop the bleeding. "It's not deep," he had said, wincing, "just ugly." But she'd made him sit anyway, dabbing peroxide as he hissed between his teeth. "It'll scar," she warned. "Then I'll remember," he smiled. And now, 10 years later, she remembers. She tells no one, not the charge nurse, not the child services rep who visits the baby, not the social worker asking questions about identity and custody. Instead, when her shift ends, she changes into civilian clothes and walks. Street after street, she scans alleyways, parks, soup kitchens, places people vanish into when the world no longer wants them. She listens for the rhythm of his walk, the quiet limp, the way his weight would shift slightly to the left. She walks until her legs ache, until the sun threatens to rise, until she forgets if she's searching for a ghost, a memory, or forgiveness. But always, always, she starts with the same prayer. Let me be wrong. Because if she's right, then Sulaiman didn't just disappear. He was discarded, and for 10 years. She let him stay gone. Rain slicks the pavement as Amina walks the edge of the city. Hood up, hands buried deep in her coat, heart hammering with something between. She almost misses him. curled beneath a concrete overpass, wrapped in layers of soaked fabric, head bowed against the cold. A shopping cart beside him holds rusted cans, a tattered book, a crumpled plastic bag. She freezes, even in the dark. She knows the shape of him. That quiet stillness, the way his left knee angles outward, slightly twisted from an old injury. She steps closer. Sulaiman. He doesn't move. Her voice cracks. It's me. Amina. Nothing. She kneels beside him, rain soaking through her scrubs, reaches out, gently lifts the hood. His face, weathered, gaunt, unshaved, stares past her, eyes glassy and unfamiliar. He blinks, but there's no flicker of recognition. Or maybe he refuses. I know it's you, she whispers. Please say something. He shifts, pulls the blanket tighter, turns his back, and just like that she breaks. Tears sting her eyes as she stumbles back, water pooling in her shoes. She stands there for what feels like hours, her breath caught between fury and grief. But he never turns around. Later, in the hospital locker room, Amina sits slumped against cold metal, shaking. She buries her face in a towel to muffle the sobs. No one sees her like this. She's the calm one, the strong one, the one who never falters. But now her hands won't stop trembling. She hasn't slept in 2 days. She's failing both of them, the man who once believed in her and the child he saved. That night, while checking vitals, the baby stirs in the crib. He grips her finger. Tiny, firm, certain. She still doesn't know his name. He has no documents, no family visits, only that necklace, only her. She finds herself whispering, "You're holding on like you remember me." Then she begins asking questions, quiet ones, careful ones, about the fire, about the apartment, about the woman who died in the blaze. Mid-30s, alone, no next of kin. And the father? The social worker shakes her head. No one came forward, no record of a man. Just a name on the medical file, Layla. Amina writes it down with trembling hands, her breath shallow, because Layla was the name of someone he once loved. The night is quiet under the overpass. No rain, no wind, just the low hum of traffic above and the distant hiss of tyres on wet asphalt. Amina walks slowly, her arms wrapped around a bundle too small and too warm to be anything but human. The baby sleeps, cheek pressed to her chest, one fist curled around the hem of her scarf. She finds him in the same place, curled against the wall, unmoving. This time, she doesn't speak right away. She kneels, and she places the baby gently between them. The man doesn't look at her, but he looks at the child, and he freezes. Amina pulls back the blanket. The necklace glints under the street lamp, the tiny brass crescent moon, blackened but intact, resting on the baby's chest. He flinches, then stares, then trembles, his lips part like a door cracking open for the first time in years. Where did he get that? Amina's throat tightens. You gave it to her, she says. Didn't you? He reaches out with shaking fingers, barely brushing the charm. A sound escapes him, something between a gasp and a sob. She used to wear it always, he murmurs, even when she hated me. He doesn't look at Amina. He speaks to the ground, to the shadows, to himself. Layla, my daughter. She was everything. Smart, stubborn. God, so stubborn. When they came after me, when the news broke, she thought I was guilty. His voice cracks. She wouldn't listen. She left. Said she couldn't live under my name. I searched for years, shelters, cities, every hospital registry I could find. I sold my books, my house, my name. But I never found her. His eyes fill with tears. I didn't know she had a baby. Amina doesn't speak. She lets the silence carry the weight. I saw the fire, he continues, voice barely above a whisper. Didn't think, just ran. There was this bus, already burning. She was inside. I couldn't get to her. But the baby, he was crying. He swallows hard. I thought I failed her again. I didn't even know it was her child. My grandchild. The word feels foreign in his mouth. He finally looks up, at Amina, at the child. The grief in his eyes is bottomless. I held him, and I felt something, but I didn't know why, not until now. Amina places her hand over his burned one. He doesn't pull away. He's yours, she says gently, in every way that matters. He lowers his head, shoulders shaking, not with shame, but with something heavier, something that sounds like forgiveness trying to crawl out of the wreckage. And for the first time in 10 years, Dr. Suleiman weeps. Morning breaks soft and grey over the city. The hospital hums as usual, monitors beeping, stretchers squeaking across tile. But in room 4, there's a silence that feels final. The crib is empty. Only the blanket remains, folded with precision. The crescent moon necklace rests on top, polished, still warm. Amina rushes to the front desk, to security, to the charge nurse. No discharge, they say. No one saw him leave. He's just gone. She checks every shelter, every clinic, every alley she remembers. No one has seen a man with a burn-scarred hand and eyes like fractured glass. For days, she wanders the city after her shifts, but it's as if he's been swallowed whole, by shame, by grief, by the same silence he vanished into 10 years ago. Eventually, she stops searching. In the hospital nursery, the baby coos, reaches, smiles. Amina signs the paperwork with steady hands and a heart too full to describe. The form asks for a name. She writes Isa. It means salvation. The crib moves into her apartment. Tiny socks hang on the drying line. She hums softly while feeding him, though she doesn't remember the tune's name. Her nights are no longer spent walking shadows, but rocking Isa through fevered cries and growing dreams. Yet something inside her refuses to close. She still sees him sometimes, in doorways, in crowds, in the quiet between elevator dings. Her mind plays tricks. Her heart wishes harder than it should, because he didn't stay, because he couldn't. One night, Isa clutches the necklace in his sleep. Amina watches the rise and fall of his chest. She brushes hair from his forehead and whispers, "You were always meant to be found." And though she smiles, a single tear escapes, tracing down the line of her jaw. It doesn't fall because she's broken. It falls because some people love by leaving, and some wounds become part of the heart that carries others. Sunlight spills across the living room floor, warm and golden, pooling around scattered toys and half-built block towers. Isa giggles from the kitchen doorway, holding a plastic spoon like a sword. His curls bounce with each step. His joy is loud, unfiltered, contagious. Amina kneels, arms wide. He toddles into her embrace, collapsing against her chest in a burst of laughter. This is her life now. Half shifts at the clinic, warm bottles at 3 a.m. Soft lullabies hummed against Isa's cheek as the city sleeps outside. Her apartment, once silent and sparse, is now filled with life. Tiny socks dry on the balcony. Finger paintings line the fridge. Books are stacked beside baby shoes and blankets. There's peace here. Not the kind she used to chase like a shadow, but the kind that grows in the cracks left by loss. One quiet afternoon, as Isa naps and rain begins to trace gentle lines down the window, Amina opens her front door to check the mail. She almost misses it. A brown paper envelope, weathered and unmarked, leans against the wall by her feet. No return address, no name. She brings it inside, careful not to wake Isa. Inside she finds a folded sketch, hand-drawn in charcoal and pencil. It's her, cradling Isa, eyes soft, a quiet smile barely forming at the edge of her lips. The detail is delicate, reverent, drawn by someone who remembered every line of her face. Beneath it lies a second item, an old medical textbook, the spine cracked, the corners worn. Inside the cover, a name has been scratched out, but if she tilts the page just right, the indentation still lingers. Dr. Sulaiman F. Idris. Her fingers press against the faded imprint. She closes her eyes. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't return, but he left a piece of himself behind, a quiet proof that he had seen her, that he had seen them, that he knew they were okay. That night, as Isa curls against her in sleep, she whispers, "You were always loved, even before you were known." Outside, the city moves on. The neighbourhood is a maze of rusted rooftops and tangled wires. Children run barefoot through narrow alleys, laughter echoing off cement walls. Amid the dust and clamour, a modest building stands newly painted. Its sign hand-lettered but proud. Free clinic for those who fall between the cracks. Amina hears about it from a patient first, then from a social worker, then from a vendor near her bus stop. They say the doctor never speaks much, they say. He doesn't charge a coin, wears gloves all the time, keeps to himself. Has a limp, you know. Left knee, I think. Something stirs inside her, not pain this time, not longing, just a quiet knowing. She visits on a warm afternoon, Isa strapped to her chest, his tiny hand resting over her heart. The waiting area buzzes with life. Young mothers, coughing children, an old man gripping his chest. A mural brightens one wall, a tree whose branches reach across continents, roots wrapped around stethoscopes and storybooks. No one notices her. That's fine. She watches. A nurse calls out names. Doors open. Medicine is handed out with dignity. Then at the far end of the hallway, a door creaks open. And there, framed in the doorway, is the back of a man. Tall, slightly stooped, a slight limp. He carries a tray of cough syrup and tiny spoons. Children crowd around him, tugging at his coat, giggling as he gestures in silence, playful and patient. Amina doesn't need to see his face. She knows. She could call his name, could walk toward him, could fill the hallway with years of questions, but she doesn't. Instead, she smiles. A small, deep smile that carries forgiveness, gratitude, and release. She turns, walks back out into the sun, Isa cooing softly against her. Some things are better left unspoken. Some love returns not as a reunion, but as a quiet offering to the world, built from all the pieces broken and made holy again. The park is quiet in the early light. Dew clings to the grass, glistening like tiny stars scattered across earth. Birds murmur in the trees, and the world, for a rare moment, feels still. Amina sits on a worn wooden bench, a light scarf draped over her shoulders. Her shoes are off, her toes press into the soft ground. Beside her, a sketchbook, weathered at the edges, pages soft from touch. Isa toddles through the grass, chasing dandelions and the golden dust of morning. He stumbles, giggles, crawls back into her lap with muddy hands and wild eyes. She smiles, brushes a leaf from his hair. Then she opens the sketchbook. One drawing, only one, a bus engulfed in flame, and before it, a man, his face left blank, cradling a child in arms wrapped in smoke. Below it, in faint handwriting, "You saved him too." Her fingers rest on the page, unmoving. She doesn't cry, she doesn't speak, she simply breathes, long and deep. Then she closes the book, sets it beside her. Isa wiggles free and races toward a patch of sunlight. His laugh rises into the sky, bright and round, like it belongs there. Amina watches him run, and for the first time in years, there is no ache beneath her ribs, no searching gaze, no missing piece, only this, a quiet peace, a life made whole by what was lost, and the soft, silent truth that love, real love, often leaves no name behind, just light and a child chasing it.